Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new month. Welcome to Math Tutorial. This week we are going to add and subtract mixed numbers with like denominators. We've been talking a lot about fractions with like denominators, meaning that the denominators have the same number. Today we're going to be talking a lot about mixed numbers and fractions greater than 1. So as you look through these different fractions here, there's 5/4, there's 6/4, over here 10/7. Over here we have tons of different fractions, and over here we have 7/3 represented using these circles here. What do you notice about these fractions? Well, if you notice, you'll see that all of the numerators are larger than the denominators. So 5 is greater than 4, 6 over here is greater than 4, 9 is greater than 4, 27, for example, is greater than 4, and over here 7 is greater than 3. So all of these fractions we call fractions greater than 1, which means that when we change them or convert them, they are whole numbers and some extra and a fraction, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Now let's name some of these fractions that we see here. So in order to do this, we have to count the total number of pieces. Looking at these two circles in green here, we see that the denominator is 2, right? So that is going to be 2, and we can count 1, 2, 3. So this tells us that this fraction is 3 halves, 3/2. Now looking at these rectangles here on this side in the center, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these here are broken up into fifths, and if we count all of the shaded ones, we have 5 plus 4. So this tells us that we have 9/5. And over here, if we see thirds, as this circle is broken up, our denominator is going to be 3. And the number shaded in, so counting both circles, we have 3, 4, 5. So we have 5/3. Now, looking at the example below, there are 4 different sets of fractions. We have 16/3. Over here, we have 2/3. It's always nice to label. Here we have 4/6. And over here, we have 8, 8/16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I believe we have 21/8. So which of these fractions are greater than 1? We can definitely cross this out. This is a normal fraction, regular fraction, proper fraction, and we can see that the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So these are not fractions greater than 1. 16/3 is a fraction that is greater than 1, and so is 21/8. Now let's talk about mixed numbers. So for many, many students, mixed numbers are going to be a new concept, a new idea. And a mixed number is a number that is made up of both a whole number, right? A whole number and a proper fraction. So a whole number and then a part of a fraction, or a whole number and then some extra. So here we have 13/4, right? Which means that we have 4 as the denominator, and then we have 13 shaded out of the 13. So we can change this fraction greater than 1 right here, what we just looked at before, to what we call a mixed number, a fraction here, 1/4, and a whole number, so 3 and 1/4. So these two values or amounts are equivalent. They are the same. So let's write the mixed number for the visual model that we see below. So here we have 2 is our denominator, and we have 5 shaded out of 2. So here we have 5 halves. So in order for us to change this fraction greater than 1 to a mixed number, what we have to do is do some division. So we're going to do 5 divided by 2. Always remember that this fraction bar means division. So 5 divided by 2 is 2. So there are 2 wholes. The denominator always stays the same. And then we have 2 times 2 gives us 4, plus 1 gives us 5. So 1 becomes the numerator. So here we have 2 wholes. So here's 1 whole, here's a second whole, and then here is half of a whole. So we have 5 halves is equal to 2.5. So let us do some more practice and put together everything that we've just learned. So to convert a mixed fraction here, or to convert a fraction greater than 1 to a mixed number, what we have to do is divide, and then the remainder becomes our new numerator. The denominator stays the same. So 33/4 here as a mixed number is 8 and 1/4. So let us practice 1 here, where we have 13/4. So how many times does 4 go into 13? Or what is 13 divided by 4? That's 3. So 3 wholes. The denominator will stay the same. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1. 1 is the remainder. So 1 becomes our new numerator. So this tells us that 13/4 is the same as 3 1/4. Now, in order to change a mixed number to a fraction greater than 1, we're going to do the opposite. So we are going to multiply the whole number, which in this case right here is 4. We're going to multiply that by the denominator of 3. That gives us 12. 12 plus 1 gives us 13. So 13 is now the numerator, right? It is greater than the denominator. So we have 13/3. Now let's figure out what 5 1/3 is as a fraction greater than 1. We're going to multiply the whole number, 5. We're going to multiply it by 3, which gives us 15. And we're going to add 1 to 15. So 15 plus 1 gives us 16. So in this case, or in this example, 16 is the numerator and 3 is the denominator. So 5 1/3 as a fraction greater than 1 is 16/3. Now let's look at 2 problems, because we'll be looking at some word problems as well this week. So Lucy and Bella ran after school yesterday. Lucy ran 2 3/5 miles and Bella ran 3 1/5 miles. How many miles did they run in all? So in all, in this case, signifies that we have to add to figure out the total number that these girls ran. So here we have 2 3/5. This is Lucy. It's always nice to label. And then we have Bella, who ran 3 1/5. So what we want to do in this case is, as always, our denominator will stay the same. So 5 will stay as it is. And then we're going to add 3 plus 1. So let me just do this here. 3 plus 1, which gives us 4/5. And then we can't forget the whole numbers. It's very, very important that we add the whole number. So in this case, we have 2 and 3. So we end up getting 5 and 4/5. 5 and 4/5. So Lucy and Bella run 5 whole miles and 4/5 of a mile in all. And it's always great to label. In all. In all. Now let's look at a second problem. Mrs. Bake-A-Lot is baking a pie. The recipe calls for 1 1/6 cups of milk and 3 4/6 cups of flour. How much more flour? So how much more in this case is going to suggest subtraction. So how much more flour does the recipe require than milk? So let me start with the flour. That amount is 3 4/6. And then the milk, we have 1 1/6. So again, we're going to subtract. The denominator stays as it is. So 4, let's do this here. 4 minus 1 gives us 3 over 6. And then we have 3 minus 1. So the whole numbers, 3 minus 1. So 3 minus 1, 3 minus 1 equals 2. So our final answer here is 2 wholes and 3/6. 3 wholes and 3/6, which is the same as a half. So 2 1/2 more, or 2 1/2 cups more, or more cups than cups more than milk. So our final answers here are 5 4/5 miles in all. And for this problem, we have 2 3/6 cups more than milk. And here are just some tips to help you as you help your child to be successful this week. A numerator in which that is greater than the denominator is a fraction greater than 1. For mixed numbers, we have to make sure we have a whole number and a fraction, and this can also be renamed as a fraction greater than 1. Use visual models, draw visual models to show your thinking to help. And when possible, simplify your answer and always be sure to label with the correct unit and leave the final answer as a mixed number if possible. And as always, double check, triple check your work. So I hope that this was useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.